This is meteorologist Mark Molnar. Thank you for joining me for this edition of Hurricane Northeastern. Let's get right into the particulars of Hurricane Dorian here, dealing with a destructive and powerful system that could become a potentially dangerous Category 4 system and threaten the northern Bahamas and eastern Florida Peninsula. Let's take a look at the particulars, take a look at the satellite photo, looking much better here on the visible satellite photo, really getting its circulation and venting together here on the northern and southern peripheries here. And look at that infrared satellite photo, really getting in here with the deeper convection firing up, and this will only continue as Dorian gets here towards the northern Bahamas into sea surface temperatures, lower wind shear. Take a look at that satellite photo, the rest of the tropics. You got some tropical waves out here, but here is the big story. Hurricane Dorian. Take a look at the particulars. Dorian is now well northwest of Puerto Rico, not really taking a direct hit in Puerto Rico and completely missing the island of Hispaniola. Very good news for the northern islands here, but very bad news for Florida because this puts Florida and the northern Bahamas in the crosshairs of Hurricane Dorian, and Dorian has had a lot more time over the open water than was originally predicted, as Dorian has been pushing more on the easterly and northeasterly envelope of the cone of uncertainty, which we'll have to see if this trend continues to the right of where the models had predicted. If it does, it might mean a more northern landfall here in northern Florida, but right now we're cautious because here's the thing. We have the remnants, or what's left here, of Tropical Storm Erin, which has had a weakness in the subtropical ridge and pushed here to the northeast. This has allowed Dorian to push more towards the northwest instead of west-northwest. Essentially what this means is by the time the remnants of Erin and this weakness is gone, by about later Friday and Saturday, high pressure here across Bermuda, which is the key to this system, will continue to build westerly towards Florida and the northern Bahamas. How far westerly and strong this high is depends on how far to the left of the model envelope here that this system will push. If the high pressure is, the more stronger the high pressure is, the more westerly it will bend here towards Florida. Essentially more of a maybe as far south as Miami, like some of the Euro ensembles are predicting. If the high pressure isn't as far, building as far west here and is slightly weaker, it could be a little bit further north towards Melbourne or even Vero Beach over towards Jacksonville. So there's a lot going on here with this system pertaining to this high pressure system and how strong this high pressure system gets. That's why persons from Jacksonville all the way down to Miami should be preparing for this storm as if it's a Category 4 storm that will make landfall on your doorstep. Unfortunately, we can't pinpoint exactly where that eye wall is going to make landfall just yet, but we're getting interesting model runs here that we're still having some divergence going on here with the models. So there you have it. If you see here, I'm predicting pretty much a bona fide Category 4 system, 135 to 145 mile per hour winds with this system. So this system has a lot going for it. It's going to have decreasing wind shear, increasing sea surface temperatures as it approaches the northern Bahamas. So anywhere from Nassau on the Bahamas on northward here in the northern Bahamas should be preparing for this system as if it's a destructive Category 3 or Category 4 storm as well. So all persons along the eastern portion of Florida should be preparing for this storm. And if I throw one more thing into the mix here, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here, but if this system crosses the Florida Peninsula and heads into the Gulf of Mexico, depending on which track it takes, we could have a system that regenerates and then targets either the Florida Panhandle all the way westward towards Louisiana. That's getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here, but I just wanted to put that on the table as some models are predicting once a landfall in central or southern Florida, continuing on towards the west-northwest into the Gulf of Mexico, which would be very devastating. It would mean 2 big landfalls instead of just 1 major landfall. So there you have it here across the Bahama Islands and into Florida. We're going to continue to watch this system because later Sunday into Monday, Labor Day, all bets are off. This system is going to make landfall somewhere here in Florida and definitely the northern Bahamas here. So Continue to watch this system. I'll keep you up to date over this long holiday weekend here across the Florida and Bahamas area. So there you have it, expecting the system probably peak at 145, maybe as high as 150 miles per hour. So this could be a very devastating hurricane. So what does that mean? The rest of the tropics, we're still dealing with tropical storm, or what's left of tropical storm Erin here in the northern, northwestern part of the Atlantic, heading towards Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. This could bring some squally weather and maritime problems, but that's about it. Dealing with some tropical waves here. We'll continue to watch for these, but nothing like Dorian was. So there you have it. That's a look at the tropics. We're going to continue to watch into September and October, those trouble areas, the eastern Gulf of Mexico, into the Bahama area off the southeast coast and the Carolinas, and then out towards Cape Verde. These are the three areas I want to continue to watch, because these will bring quite a bit in the way of development over the next 6 to 8 weeks in the tropics. And pretty much the effects of what was left of El Nino at the beginning of this year have worn off in the atmosphere. So many of you have asked me, will I update my hurricane forecast for the rest of the season? And yes, I am working on bumping those numbers up a bit to reflect what's left of the El Nino completely dissipating. So we're back on track with the very active tropical season, and we'll continue to see storms like Dorian for the rest of the hurricane season. So this is not good news for coastal residents of the southeast here. So there you have it. There is the tropics, and we're going to continue to watch Hurricane Dorian. Let's get right into the forecast. We're going to start off with, there you have it, precipitation totals across the country. Most of it, Florida, 8 to 12 inches here, central portions of southern Florida, even the northeast coast here through about Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Here in the mid-Atlantic, we're going to be dealing with some overrunning moisture here from the Ohio Valley into the Northeast, unfortunately, just in time for your Labor Day weekend. Some of this will have some tropical moisture that it starts to tap into by Labor Day. And the pattern, troughiness here across the Great Lakes and the Northeast, just in time for your Labor Day. So there you have it. And then we'll be watching Hurricane Dorian and where Dorian goes. Let's get right into the forecast for severe weather. We're not looking at any severe weather.